And welcome to a cup of tea. It's been a while, Gonzo. It's been a while since we've sat down for a cuppa.
It certainly has. I'm parched, mate. Not like you. You got a new mug. I see. Is it a new mug?
No, I've had it for a while. I just don't know if the viewers are ready for the Buzz Lightyear. They won't understand if they're not on the forum. If they're not on the forum, they won't get it.
It looks like someone's graffitied your mug, mate. So yeah, I'm waiting for mine. Mrs. Gonzo's bringing me my mug of tea in a minute.
Well, let's crack on. The player awards were last week. Why were you not there?
It's bloody expensive. It's really expensive. I think it was. I don't know how much it was. I think somebody did suggest it, and it was. I think it's £350 or something like that. And I've just got far better things I can spend £350 on. Although I would have liked to have gone. It seemed like a really good event. Everyone enjoyed themselves.
Do you agree with the player awards as a concept at the price they are, etc., or do you not care and it's sort of for the corporate side of it and just leave it at that?
I agree. The players should be voted upon and voted on by the fans. I agree in the concept of the awards and the fans saying who has played well over the course of the season. Charging the fans a lot of money to go, no, I don't. I've got to say it's not something I do agree with. I would have. Might be. I think that you probably could charge some, but maybe if they did something, they might even do this. I don't know. Where there's, certainly, 3 or 4 tables. I'm not talking about us. We gob off about West Ham all the time, but sort of a load of, it's hand-picked a load selection of fans. And I don't mean 5 or 6. I mean, I don't know how many people are crammed in there, but it's nice to see 50, 100, 200 fans or something in there who haven't had to pay. The football clubs earn a lot of money these days, 150 million each year from Sky. Do they need 300 quid off each fan? I don't think so.
No, I don't agree with you. I think it's the modern times of football. Unfortunately, it's gone away from the working class, and we know people that were there and they were happy to pay 300 quid. They're probably in a better situation than we are in terms of disposable income, etc. Some of them are young and they're still at home with parents, etc., etc. But I think it's just, I think they're mucking them off, really. Luke Malden was there and he said it was 50 quid for 4 drinks. I mean, it's not even.
You don't get the drinks aren't free?
No, yeah. He said he got a round of 4 drinks and 50 quid. So not only you get whacked in the wallet when you get in, you get whacked in the wallet just to get a drink. I don't agree with that. I think it should be done on the pitch after the last one of the season. It's just like optional. If you want to stay behind, you can stay behind and watch them give out the mall or something. And then that way all the season ticket holders are there and a couple of extra 1,000 Claret members or whatever it is. I think it should be done like that, really. I think it's just...
They were, the 4 drinks were 4 bottles of champagne, though, weren't they?
I don't know. I'd imagine they're just got Heineken things for him. But, Antonio won Hammer of the Year. Is that we're not going to go into the awards too much because we are going to do a separate video at the end of the season going through all the awards. But just the Hammer of the Year one. Do you agree with that, Antonio winning that one?
You can argue with that. It was only really going to be him or Lanzini, I think, would have been the standout contenders. So can't really complain whichever one got chosen. I was pleased for him. It was timed well with regard to him signing a new contract as well. So it all worked out quite well.
Yeah, I gave mine to Reed, actually, so cheers for that. I've got to be Antonio. I voted for Reed. I just think he's been outstanding this season once again. I thought that every game, I thought he was putting in 7, 8s, 9s out of 10s, and I thought some games Antonio or Lanzini would put a 5 or here or there. Not often, but sometimes. I just don't think Reed ever went to that lower level. I always thought Reed was consistently fantastic. But him signing a new deal, I mean, is that a bigger signing as we're going to get this summer?
Was huge for us, absolutely huge for us. Or hopefully not. Hopefully we make some other signings, but it is big. It's tradition. While he wasn't signing, you were going to worry. It's tradition really for West Ham to sell players that do sparkle. He's the top scoring. If there's a winger that outscores Antonio, particularly bearing in mind he's been mucked around his position. There's a winger that scores more goals than Antonio in the league. Then, so. Would be a very impressive player indeed. He's perfect for us. When he's not in the team, we lack a lot of pace. He's got the strength as well. He scores goals. It was a really, really big boost, actually, because you start to worry that, as I said before, that the Payet situation creates a blueprint for players to leave. So I always thought the best thing, I know it's hindsight now, but I did say at the time I thought the best thing to do was to keep hold of Payet and even if he didn't play, because what it does, it creates a blueprint. So it's not just a player. If an agent's in a player's ears, and then the agent can say, look, this is how you get out of West Ham. You kick off, you throw a strop, you don't train properly, you stipulate that you only want to go back to one club. That way lots of clubs can't bid. The club don't get the best money. It does create a blueprint, and you do worry, but fortunately Antonio's made of better stuff. He's a better character. He's a better person than Payet, and he clearly likes it at West Ham, and we're delighted to keep him, mate.
Yeah, I was getting worried as well, actually. Well, I was always quietly confident, but each week that went past, we lost a game. We got thumped in some of the games, and I thought, oh, Christ, he's sitting in the sidelines watching this, thinking, why, he's probably got better options somewhere. But at the same time, part of me doesn't think he's that good enough to go to top 6 and play week in, week out. He'll certainly have something to offer, etc. I'm just not sure he's good enough to go there. You look at Man City, they've got Sané, and he's nowhere near Sané's level. But for West Ham, he's as good as we're going to get right now. If we were to go buy an Antonio this summer, I'd be delighted. So that's a big signing, actually, and hopefully that sets the tone for the summer. So before we talk about the targets, under 23s got promoted on Tuesday night. Martinez again with a double. What's your thoughts on that? Are you delighted to see progress at the younger age group again this season?
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. I think we need to be in that top league. I can't think. I was watching someone get thrashed by Porto on the telly. Was it last night or the night before?
Sunderland.
Yeah. So if you're in the Premier League, we're obviously in the second division. If you're in the first division, the top division of the youth football, then you can play. It's a Super 10 competition, or it's something like that, where a lot of the top clubs in Europe play against each other. It's not academies, but the development squads. I think that's probably a really good thing to be involved in. So we need to be in that top division to be in the hat for that sort of thing. But we're gradually adding to our pool of young players, and so many of them have been acquired as well. So if you look at Martinez has come in, Queen has done really well. It's looking like he spoken today, maybe we'll touch on it, maybe loaned out next season. Nathan Holland, of course, who we like, he's coming from Everton, and they're bringing a lot of these players in, which is really good to supplement the ones that we already had here. And I think that's a really, really good strategy. And I think somebody said the other day that a few of the other clubs have asked, well, how did you manage to get Queen from Chelsea? How did you manage to get Nathan Holland? Everyone knew these guys were really, really good. So clearly we are poaching, if you like, from other people's academies. All we've got to do now is make a route for them into the first team. So obviously we're saying to them, look, you get more of a chance if you come to West Ham. And I think if you could look at someone like Fletcher, it's probably been true. I said it to you watching the game the other day. He might not really have pulled up any trees. He might not have scored lots of goals for us, but they probably said to him, look, Rashford's come through at Man U. If you come to West Ham, you're going to get some first team football. He never would have played Europa football. He never would have played Premier League football at Man United, and he has at West Ham this season. So I think if we can offer that to the youngsters, say we'll give you the chance to show your stuff, it can only be a good thing, really.
Yeah, I do think we need to start off him more. I think we might see Declan Rice on Sunday, but I think we need to be off him more. But it's difficult when your manager's now only got a year left on his contract, and if he is here next season, he's officially playing for a new deal, and it's even more difficult for him to bring young players in. But Terry Wesley also signed a new deal this week, straight after that success, which is good to see. He didn't get off to the greatest of starts at West Ham with all that controversy around Bywater, but he seems to be doing a good job. Just to pay his son still here, the most pointless player we've got on our books at West Ham. He seems to start riding on his daddy's coattails a little bit. Let's talk about some player links. Do you want to talk about some players being linked with? They seem to be coming thick and fast this last few days, don't they?
They certainly do. They certainly do. I was the player. So we linked with Batshuayi constantly, and that's really interesting. It's just typical that he scored. I think it was against West Brom. Did he score against West Brom to win 1-0 or something like that? Was that right? He scored the goal that mathematically clinched them the title, even though everybody knows that we gave him the title by beating Tottenham. But Batshuayi did that, so he thought, are they going to be as keen to let him go? So as I've always maintained, I would be interested in him if he came in on a permanent transfer. I know you want to talk about, which we'll talk about in a second, but I was particularly pleased to see us linked with Che Adams at Birmingham City, because he looks really, really quick, and I think we are desperately in need of pace. I think we desperately need raw pace. I think Lanzini will get the best out of someone who's very, very quick in front of him. So yeah, I was pleased to see that. Not as our main striker, but bearing in mind we've been chucking on Clary, we've been chucking on Fletcher, Sacco's not been fit. Just Carroll as somebody like a fourth choice striker, third choice striker, somebody I'd really like to see come in actually.
I'd like Carroll to be our third choice striker next year. Let's start with the freebies. There's two of them. Well, there's three of them. First one, the weird one, but is it that weird? John Ruddy is leaving Norwich City. I suppose it would hint that one of the keepers is leaving in the summer, but would you be happy with him as your second choice keeper at West Ham, or is that a bit unambitious?
Well, this was bothering me actually, because I didn't know what was being suggested by it. I read a couple of times, it said exactly what you just said there, second choice keeper. Well, second choice to who? What, does that mean we get rid of Adrian and Randolph? Because I do believe it's a position where we can improve upon. So, yeah, I'd like to see one of Adrian and Randolph the second choice, and then another striker come in.
Well, that's what, because I wouldn't want him as our number one goalie, but I wouldn't want Randolph as our firm number one. I wouldn't want to see them two competing for the gloves. Adrian, I think, has been done really well since he's come back from his smack bottom on the bench, but he's still not signed a new deal. The club has still got an option, but today, I think it was today in the paper, he was saying that Adrian was quoted as saying, well, it depends where West Ham are planning on going. I've been here 4 years now, and I think he basically said, I'm getting a bit fed up just surviving in the Premier League. I want to be achieving more. And
who said that?
That's Adrian.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So that's a big statement for him to come out, particularly when his deal's up this summer. He's basically saying, listen, what we're trying to achieve here, and I think he's got every right to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio's done that as well and said, well, what are we trying to achieve here? But if it's Adrian and then Ruddy is the keep bench, fair enough, I suppose. But we're just going to have to address this situation in probably a year's time, where we've got the right back and the striker situation was solved this summer. We then look at the keeper in a year's time and go, right, let's solve the goalkeeper's position. So it's short fix.
Yeah, maybe it's an uninspiring signing, isn't it? It's a it's like what we did in the winter transfer window, where we sat here talking about Snodgrass and Font, and it's the transfers that get made, they don't exactly get you excited, do they?
Would you panic if we had Ruddy and Randolph as our keepers going into next season? I Ruddy well would. If Adrian left and we were left with those, we've got to set our ambitions higher. And if Adrian's asking those questions, then I think they're valid questions. We moved for a reason. We moved Stadium to start competing. I don't think anyone's ridiculous enough. I don't think you'll find a single West Ham fan. Man U are rumoured to be bidding 95 million for Griezmann. You won't find a single West Ham fan who thinks we should be bidding for that. We're quite a realistic bunch, but we do think we should be sort of challenging maybe what Everton are paying or that sort of thing. We want to be up around 8th position, don't we? And buying some better players. And that would worry me, those two as being our only two keepers, certainly. What we'll say is, though, I've not seen John Ruddy play this season. I've maybe seen Norwich play like twice all year, if that. So I don't know if he's good or if he's just depreciated, or if he's played poor this season. I don't know. I believe it's because of Norwich trying to slash the wage bill. That's why he's having to leave, etc. Because he's one of the highest earners. But I don't actually know. Zabaleta, this one's looking more and more likely. Are you expecting Zabaleta to sign?
Yes. Because no one rubbishes it when it's spoken about. No one, none of the main sources, none of the people that speak to the main sources, nobody rubbishes it. So I am expecting it, yeah.
Are you happy with it?
Again, I've got to put him in that bracket. I wonder what we're doing, actually. I would ask, okay, so if we sign Zabaleta, are we then going to move away from the formation we played in the last few games, which is 3-5-2? Because Zabaleta doesn't play in a 3-5-2 for me. He's not some wing-back who bombs up and down. I mean, to be fair...
No, I disagree with that. I think he can get forward quite well, Zabaleta.
You think he can? Yeah. I mean, again, it's not a great Those are that's not a great choice of words used there. You think he can? No. I mean, I'd like to sign someone who go, oh, this is exciting. To be fair, he came on for Man City, who clearly have great affection for him. He's clearly a very, very good character. He's well liked. He's got strong. You know, he's good. I like Argentinians actually as footballers. I think they've got something about them. I really do. But he didn't even play the full game. He was brought on so as he could wave at everybody. He was given man of the match as a sort of, as I say, basically the club and the sponsor said thank you to him. He looked knackered by the end of it. He looked absolutely cream crackered. So I know he's only 32, but I think he's got a lot of miles on the clock. I think if we get him, then we do switch to a 4-4-2. I don't think you're going to see him bombing up and down as some. He's a complete opposite. Like we've got on the left wing back, Cresswell last couple of games before that, as you know, I think Masuaku's been so impressive. I don't think you're getting that on that side of him. He's a good defender. A lot of money, though. It's a lot of money that's being talked about.
Well, I've actually come around. I've warmed quite a lot to the idea, actually. Originally, I was thinking, Christ, an old guy, or his last contract, etc. But I thought about it. I thought, the thing is, though, he's not a scrimmager, I don't think. He's quite a hard-working professional. So I'm taking that away. He's coming with a wealth of experience. He's won plenty of stuff in his career. He's leaving his Man City as a legend. And I don't know. I just think that we've seen what James Collins has done, bringing experience into our back three for us. It's chilled the back three out a little bit. And I just think maybe that's what he'll do. If you want someone to bomb up and down the right wing, if we're playing a right wing back, we'll probably have to play Bayern there. But if we're playing four at the back, that's when you can switch to and play Zabaleta there. And having a variety of two players who can play different roles in the right wing back / right back position is good. Also, Pep Guardiola has played him in some massive games this season. He played him in the Champions League in defensive midfield. And, I'm not saying let's buy him playing defensive midfield. He is reasonably versatile as well. But if Pep can trust him in huge games this season, I think West Ham could probably trust him in the next couple of years. But what worries me is the money. And if he is on 100 grand a week, we're taking a gamble. We're going to have to break our wage structure sooner or later and go up to round by that figure. I'm not sure Zabaleta is the player we should be breaking our wage structure for. And that just sets a tone. We've just given Antonio a new deal. Here's your deal, 70 grand a week or whatever. Then we're going to bring Zabaleta on 30 grand a week more. Antonio is now probably thinking, hang on a minute, if I waited another couple of months, I could have said, well, I wouldn't be highest paid player. He's on 100. So unless, I'd imagine what they'll do is bring in clauses so he's on a basic of 60 and he gets appearance bonuses and his sign-on fee takes into consideration 20 grand a week over 2 years or something. But let's just say Gonzo, he signed today, 100 grand a week, 2 years. Would you give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, or sitting on?
It's a thumbs down, and everything you said was right. I do think they love him like we love James Collins. I do think he would, if we were playing full back and not wing backs, he would play, and he can play defensive midfield. I think all those things are true, but none of those say to me that guy who can fill those roles, back up, blah 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 blah. Is the top earner in the club? No way. The top earner in your club. I said I can't change my tune. I said this about Andy Carroll for years. The top earner in your club's got to be the best player. He has to be. He has to be, or damn bloody near to it. Not someone who fills in a little bit here or there, who can only play if you're playing a flat back four, who might be able to play in defensive midfield if Kiyate's not quite. No, I mean, so I would have to give that the thumbs down, mate.
Well, let's just say he took 6 to 8 grand a week, same as Robert Snodgrass, who's also a squad player, would then get a thumbs up.
No, because Snodgrass is getting too much money, far too much money. I would be happy to bring... I do think you're right, though. I think he's of good character. I don't think he'd come, because I do think the Argentinians got something about him. I really do. I think they all work hard, actually. Always do. If he was to come in on 50 grand a week with then I'd be happy enough with it. I do think he'd bring experience. I do think he has attributes, but not at the money talked about.
But if we do bring him in, while I'm all for it, if we do bring him in a free, I'm expecting the money to be spent elsewhere. I'm not expecting the budget to go, well, we'll save 10 million because we don't have a right back. Let's just keep that 10 million. I'm expecting to go right there. Right back's 10 million. Let's put it in with the striker budget. We've now got 10 million more. But the other striker, the last freebie we can talk about, Mr. Defoe. So quieting down a little bit, but apparently he wants 100 grand a week. And There was a paper saying he wants a 6 million sign on, but I think that's a bit wild, that one. So let's just ignore the sign on, even 100 grand a week. Are you giving that a thumbs up, or are you giving that one a thumbs down?
I'm giving that a thumbs down. I'm going to sound right miserable get today. I'm giving it a thumbs down. I think at the start of the season, he was looking sharp. I think he's petered off and tailed off. He's obviously not getting any younger. I still think he's got qualities. But again, at that money, no. Do you know what I'd rather do? I'd rather take a punt and go for someone like that Sessegnon at Fulham, who looks like an absolute whiz kid. I'd rather get a whiz kid on 30, 40 grand a week than that and say, do you know what? You go on and you try and be the new Defoe. You be the next Defoe. That's what I'm looking at. I just think he's got some years ahead of Zabaleta as well. So no, nothing about the old time or the way he left or anything like that. I just think the second half of the season's been a bit of a toll for him, and I just don't think it improves. I also don't think he particularly suit our style either. I mean, we need pace. We need outright pace up top. I'm not going to shift from that. I just don't think he's the guy.
No, I didn't want him in January, and that's when we were struggling. So I'm not going to change my mind and say, yeah, I'll have him now. You know, in January, I was sort of thinking in the summer, if we're going to get him for free, I could probably put up with that. But not 100 grand a week. Christ almighty, you know, that's mugging us off. I know you always say, well, hang on, you just said yes to Zabaleta. But I think there's more strikers out there than there's right backs. I think there's more. You know, you can look at Middlesbrough. They've got Negredo going down. Swansea have got Llorente. Now, while Swansea have stayed up, he's going to be 32 this time next year. Llorente, he won't cost much to get away. And if Defoe wants a 6 million sign on fee, well, there's your transfer bid for Llorente right there. So I think there's better options than Defoe out there for 100 grand a week. Unfortunately for him, but. The striker we're being linked with today, now this is the one I'm excited about, and I think you know I'm excited about this one. Gonzo, the Man City striker, Iheanacho. They're saying 20 million. No one's getting for 20 million. But would you make this guy your number one signing this summer?
Not a chance. No, not a chance. No, what? No. No, I wouldn't make him number one. So he's really good. He's a poacher. But again, I think he's quick enough. I don't think he's athletic enough, I've got to say. I've got a bit of an issue with the African Cup of Nations. As you know, every time it comes around in my head, I would take him in a heartbeat if we got rid of Ayew as well. But I've always been in the mindset I don't like to carry more than 2 African Cup of Nations players at any one time, particularly not if they're your best players. I think if they're fringe players, it doesn't really matter. But if they're players that are going to play in your first team, so if we kept Ayew, at the moment, Ayew is our record signing, okay? Now, I know, remember what I said about the wages, your top wages should be your best player. Well, I think your record signing should tend to be your best player. It doesn't always happen like that. But a club like West Ham, it's your top signing's got to be your top player. We can't afford. We don't have, if we miss Ibrahimovic, Rashford to come in, or so. That's just not us. So I think if we were to have our top signing ever was Ayew, and our second top signing ever was Ayew, and our top signing was Iheanacho, and they both went up to the African Cup Nations, we can't. They've gone for 2 months every other year. It's slap bang in the middle of the season. So I've always said that should be our little rule, African Cup of Nations players. So for that reason, I would only do it if we could get rid of Ayew, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh no, I'd bite your hand off if he would even look at West Ham. I'd have him on the next plane down here. I wouldn't quite give him 100 grand a week, but I'd be asking what the boy wants. I'd be getting him signed up because that boy is something special. He is way too good for West Ham, or if he isn't today, he will be in a couple of seasons' time. Should he fulfill his potential? He's far too good, and deals like this don't come up very often. City are making mistakes selling him if they do, in my opinion.
He's very arrogant, Guardiola. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He's not. He's a very, very natural finisher. Very natural finisher. He really is. There would be other players if I could get that I probably would. I'm not sure. Particularly with Bilic, I don't think we play to his strengths. I really, really don't. Bilic desperately needs an athlete up top for the system he plays. I know, obviously, Iheanacho is not the same as Andy Carroll, but he's never played to Andy Carroll's strengths. I don't think he would. He's a real poacher, left-footed, really. You know, he's got some great technique in finishing. But I think you almost need someone who's either going to run really, really well, or someone that's going to sort of link the play a lot. And I'm not sure he's either of those. I think at 20 million, it'd be worth a punt. But if what you're saying is we get nowhere near that and it'd be 35, not a chance. Not a chance.
Well, I'd pay 35 for him. That boy is something a little bit special. I'd have him here, Andy. No, this guy, I don't know how you pronounce his name. He plays in Belgium. He's Nigerian. There's your African thing out the window straight away. But Onyekuru or something, is that how you say his name? Do you know how you say his name?
Yes, I don't know if that's how you say his name. Yeah, I mean, I've got to say the same again. Two African players in the team. But I think if he came, he wouldn't be the top guy. So that sort of bends the rules a little bit. Funny enough, I think someone like that is exactly what we'd need if we kept Bilic in charge. He is lightning. Absolute lightning, and he's strong. And too often we play counter-attacking football and we soak up the pressure, then we need to hit teams quickly on the break, and that is why I've been screaming out for it. I don't think one striker's just going to do it either. I want another really quick wide player as well, and I'll tell you what, we could do with some legs in the middle of the park that would, if at all possible. We need pace, and that boy has got a ton of it, and he's got a load of tricks as well. Not as composed as Iheanacho, nowhere near as good at finishing, but he would have the opposition defence standing 10 yards further back and consequently not putting as much pressure on us.
I've never heard of him.
I'd never heard of the club. I'd never heard of the club, to be fair, not just him. What was the club's name?
I don't know. I didn't write it down.
It begins with, yes, it's Belgian club, begins with E or something.
Yeah, it's like Poon or Upine or something. I don't know, but how do you know him then if you've never heard of his club?
No, I don't know him. I've just basically watched. Funny enough, when it happened, Iheanacho and him, I started having a look at all the Nigerian strikers. Funny, I was looking at Ahmed Musa as well earlier. So I just started looking at a lot of the Nigerian games, a lot of the club games. Probably spent a good hour looking at him, and yeah, I mean, Iheanacho is the best finisher by a country mile, but the other two, Musa and the fella that we can't pronounce from the club that we don't know, they're lightning, they're bloody lightning quick. And I just think those guys might suit our style slightly more.
Yeah. So, what striker are you hoping to get in the summer then? Right now, apart from this lightning fast guy, obviously you don't want him as your main one, but who are you hoping to get as the main one?
Well, I sort of do hope that we might get that Schwei, and I just feel there's a little bit more pedigree with him. He's Belgium. He's not going to bugger off to the African Cup of Nations. I think he's got a point to prove. I think he gives us everything. He's a little bit more rounded. I think he's quick. He's strong. I think he can play it up to his head. I think he finishes and he gets in there. He just gives a little bit of everything. But if I could get him and get that Sessegnon for Fulham, I'd be very, very pleased, because I think he's going to be the next young player that's going to be coming through. Was Dembele at Celtic's gone off the radar slightly, but he was another good one we were really sort of looking at. But yeah, I'd steer more towards that if possible.
I think Sessegnon's going to go a bit bigger than West Ham. I think he'll go to one of the big clubs in England or abroad. And what I will say about the African Nations Cup, though, is it's not next season. Next season's free of it, so you've essentially got another year as well. But I think it's up to your club. Say we manage to get him, I think it's up to us to make sure that we've got another couple of players that when he goes away for a month, they're capable of playing. We've got Andy Carroll and a other striker, whether it is your whiz kid from Belgium or not. You've got, because he's African Nations as well. But you've got another couple of strikers that can step in for that 1 month period and take over, etc. I get what you're saying, but for me, I use a different position. If they were both out-and-out strikers, that would make me say, well, no, you can't have two strikers that's going away. But I think you can get away with it an attacking midfielder and a striker. The only problem is, like you said, we've also got Kiati and Feghouli.
Yeah.
And Feghouli might not be here next season, but currently he's a West Ham player. So gives us a little bit of trouble. Right, it's almost question time. So all you guys in the live chat on YouTube, if you've got any questions or comments, please fire them in and I'll start taking note of them. Gonzo, is there any other news of that circle in West Ham missed out?
Yeah, there's probably plenty. I'll just when you said about Carroll, you've said it twice just in this chat. You're speaking like he's definitely here next season. You're convinced he's staying and we should stick with him? Or I know you said you would like him as a third choice striker.
Yeah, because I think he's our only striker that guarantees goals. He's our only striker that we currently have on our books that guarantees goals, and I think we'd be taking a risk to get rid of our only guaranteed striker that scores goals in order to take other people in. But he's on 68 grand a week. For me, that's what, in the Premier League now, for the level that we're trying to achieve, that's what you can pay for someone to sit on your bench. And that's why Snodgrass is on that, and that's why Font is on that, because that is now bench player. That's why the Spurs players are all getting pissed off this summer, and half of them, well, not half of them, that's why Walker is looking at going to Man City, and Rose is looking at maybe leaving, because they all want top dollar, and currently Spurs ain't paying top dollar. But I just think with Carroll, you can get a striker in who's ahead of him in the pecking order, so he doesn't have to play every game. So when he comes back from an injury, there's not a pressure to get him back in. It's a case of, well, that guy's doing all right, so when you're fit, you're going on the bench anyway. And I just think if we can make him this third choice striker, or the second choice striker, no, third choice, we can make him third choice striker, I think we'll see a different Andy Carroll. But who's going to take him? That's also the other problem. Who's honestly going to take him off our hands? Do you think he's going to go?
Well, I don't think he wants to go to China. That much I do know. Why would he? He's rich enough. He's a millionaire. Why would he want to go? And he's better off over. He's got a young family, so I don't think he would. So really, it's an English club to take him. I was off our hands. I mean, I don't see him getting another contract though. So he's clearly winding his time down at West Ham. He just doesn't play enough football, does he? Really? So he doesn't play enough football for us to offer him a new contract. He doesn't play enough football for anyone else to come in and buy him. You don't know though. You don't know it. You know. You just don't know what's going to happen. In many respects, it's a shame that Harry's got the job at Birmingham, because if Harry had got a Premier League job, then he's the sort of manager that might just fancy somebody like Andy Carroll, you know, to do a job, and you know, that would be a Harry type thing to do.
What we do have for you though is we've updated our Android app. Now, if you're on Android, the links are below, so click on it. If you've already got the app, all you have to do is update it. You haven't got the app, go get it. It is down below. It makes it a lot more user-friendly, etc. And we'll be collecting your feedback later on as well. Also, we've got some competition winners, so let's get them out of the way. Right, first up, we had a signed Antonio shirt. Now, the winner was announced on Twitter, but just so everybody on YouTube knows, here it is. Antonio signed that for you. And the winner was Philip Wilkinson. And we can announce the winner of these bad boys. Signed Antonio boots. We've been running the competition over the last couple of weeks, and the winner for this one is Matt Thomas. So Matt, we'll be getting in touch with you because we want you to send us your address to send you your signed stuff. So if you in future, if you want to get involved in all our giveaways, whether it's signed stuff or not, you have to be subscribed to the channel, so hit that button now. Gonzo, we've got some questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Ian Welford says, would you buy Caleri on the cheap?
No, I wouldn't take Clary for free, to be honest. I like his attitude, but you just can't score goals. And we need people to, as I say, we need someone with pace. Ideally, if they haven't got pace, then they've got to have a bit of luck and be able to put the ball in the net. He's got neither, so no, I wouldn't take him on a free.
I would maybe take him for cheap, but that would be like the fourth choice striker. Well, at the same time, I wouldn't mind Fletcher, Martinez, and Hector Ingram, and that being the fourth choice striker that starts sharing that role, if you like. Saying, well, all three of you are here, you're all staying here. The under 23s are now competing at a better level. So for me, that's less reason to send them out on loan. Don't send them to Oxford United. You're now in a better level at under 23s. Keep them here, because it's stupid that we're going to play Burnley on Sunday with nothing to play for, and we can't play Martinez because of the loan rule, etc., etc. So that rules are just stupid. So just keep them at West Ham, train them. Surely we've got better coaches at West Ham than Oxford do. Even if he is playing game time over there, he'd be better off here. Ian says, Roma is looking at Feghouli and Masuaku. Would you sell either or, and how much? How much would you sell them for?
Well, Feghouli can go. Any profit's good. He was free. Masuaku, not a chance. Not a chance. I just think that boy's getting better and better. He's not really had a good run of games. He started at the start, looked really good. Had that crazy game where he sort of handballed the ball loads of times. I thought he was playing netball or something. Then got injured, disappeared out of the team. Cresswell's formed it. Masuaku's come back in. As I say, before he got injured again this time, I thought he was our best player 3 games in a row. And he's actually showed me abilities that he can play not just left back. He looks like a really, really good player. No wonder other teams are interested in him, but no way. We need to keep that guy. He is very good.
I would keep both. I always try and be the voice of patience, if you like, when it comes to transfers. But I think people write players off too quickly, whether it's Zaza, whether it was Nordvik, whether it is Paguli. I think people just write them off. I don't think a season's long enough for a player to show their worth. A bit like you with Paguli, I thought he looked rubbish. Then he started looking good. Then he started looking rubbish again. And in some games, it looked like he couldn't even be arsed. Bournemouth away and Chelsea at home. That time when Kante knocked the ball down and ran about 30 yards, and all Paguli had to do was run 10, and he still beat him. I just thought the effort is all we ask, and you're not giving it. But I would keep them both, unless, of course, a 50 million bid come in from Paguli, then you're going to have to bite their hand off. But I wouldn't be actively looking to sell them, if that makes sense. Chris and Nibbles are asking, do you worry about losing Lanzini?
Oh, Nibbles, I worry about that all the time. Yeah, I mean, it's all the time, because I think he is. I'd say he's our best player. He might be Antonio, might be Reed, might be Obiang, might be I don't know. But we certainly have a handful of players who wouldn't look out of place at other clubs. And I sort of said tongue in cheek the other day about Lanzini being better than Coutinho. But I don't think I'm too far wide of the mark, to be perfectly fair. I think give it another couple of seasons and you may well be seeing exactly that. And I don't think Lanzini would look out of place in that Liverpool team, in the Man City team, or any other team. So yeah, I do worry that someone would come in and try and poach him. But he's made positive noises this week. And that's really what you need. Too many players let stuff drag on for too long. You know, the silence becomes deafening. He came straight out. He made a statement. I'm sure he'd love to play for, crikey, he probably wants to play for Real Madrid one day or whatever, something like that. But he's happy at West Ham. That's great. We need him. He stepped up to the mark. He's our creative hub. We need to bring players in to support Lanzini. But I do worry that he could be sold, yes.
Yeah, I think he's too good for West Ham right now. But the challenge is we have to get up to a level where it's acceptable or not acceptable. That's good enough for Lanzini. As much as I criticise the board, I've always said they do not sell players cheap, and they do not like players. We're no longer selling cup under this board, I don't think. So I don't think he'll be leaving this summer. Ryan asks for striker Icardi. Personally, I think he's being a bit overly ambitious there.
Icardi is at Inter Milan, isn't he? I think, yeah, he's he's a top quality player. We're saying all this. We still don't know how manager's going to be next season. Okay, well, we think it might be Bilic, but again, the silence is a bit deafening. Let's be fair, Bilic has had one good season, and he's a very, very good season. He's had one disappointing season. He's got one more year left. I think when you look at these players, I'm going on the fact that Bilic stays next season. I just think Bilic needs to be given a striker that can play to his system. I think Icardi, Higuain was 80 odd million. I don't think you get Icardi for sale for 50 million. So I just don't think we're going to be in for him.
Yeah. Sam's asking who can you see leaving in the summer? Let's rule out Arbeloa. There's no point in saying Arbeloa and the loan players. We know about that. But is there anyone else? Anyone you think might raise a few eyebrows?
No, I don't think there's anyone that would raise eyebrows. I think all the obvious ones will be leaving. Nordvik will leave. I think Faguli we discussed. I think Sacco, if you can find a home for him, goes. Would you rip up
Sacco's deal? Let's just say you had to pay him no money. He was happy for the contract to be torn up. Would you tear it up?
Well, you can't. He's not going to do that. Why would you do that? I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. If he was willing to take half his wages as left on his contract, would you do it?
Well, yeah, if he was willing to do a deal, but he's not. He fought tooth and nail for that. Don't forget, Sacco was not a rich man before he came to West Ham, and he joined us by Premier League standards, quite low wages, certainly. I think he came from Metz, possibly. So he's not going to be in a position to do. I remember Tarico doing that years ago. It was very gentlemanly of him. Came, signed for us, got injured, didn't really play, and he did. It's all right, he's still, funny enough, Argentinian, wasn't he, again? So, yeah, it's not gonna happen. But I think what you're asking would if the circumstances are right, would I be happy to wash my hands of him? Yeah, I would. And he's part of the number of players I just said that probably need to go. So if you're looking for a surprising one, I think everybody might be slightly shocked and aghast if Ginge went, because he's just so bloody popular. But he's not that character that's going to angle to leave. He's not going to try and push the issue, really. So again, it depends if somebody like Allardyce or someone like that, or someone he's worked with before, is going to want to say, look, come play for me. You'll play all season. He might tempt him over. So, but I think most of the guys that go out are going to be obvious.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Adrian's maybe the one that raises eyebrows. I wouldn't be surprised if we find out he ends up leaving. Clayton is asking, who do you bring in for centre midfield / attack midfield? Pick one position and pick a player. Positions, in my opinion.
Bloody hell, Clayton. Well, I thought if Newcastle wouldn't go up, I would have quite liked to have seen John Joe Shelby come in. He's a West Ham fan as well. I was also getting quite excited by the thought of Wilshere coming in. Of course, then it happens, doesn't it? He gets injured. I would love West Ham, right, to show some ambition. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Okay, the big clubs haven't come in for him because they would have come in for him by now. I would absolutely love West Ham to show some ambition, love them to go out and bid 40 million, 35 million, something like that for Ross Barkley.
Can't see that happening, I'm afraid. I can't see. I don't know. I don't think he's the type of player we need. That's the role I want to see Lanzini in. I want to see Lanzini in there. James Ward bounces for me in an ideal world, but ain't getting him for cheap. He'd be at least 30 million. He's our Lanzini essentially. They ain't giving you him. Ender Valencia, sell, keep, loan out again.
Oh, it's rubbish. I mean, sorry, I've said this. Sorry?
You want pace?
Yeah, crikey. Yeah, but what I do want them to do is when they're running, be able to take the ball with them. I have never seen a whole of my life anyone run past a football before. I saw him run past the football and he tried to take it with him and he tried to kick it and he just carried on running. It's like Forrest Gump.
Yeah, but the weird thing is, there was a couple of games this season I thought I'd rather Valencia was on the bench than him, and that's how bad it was.
Yeah. Desperate times, yeah.
Who's your third choice centre back? Assuming Ogbonna reads you first, is it Ginge or Font?
If we're playing three, I'd always pick Ginge ahead of Font because I
think he said, I didn't write it down because I'm trying to write the points, but I think he said if we were playing a flat back four and you've got Reed and Ogbonna in there as your main two, but you have to change one, who'd you put in?
Oh, I mean, I'm such a big fan of Ginge. I really am. He's got a warrior spirit and he loves West Ham to bits. Obviously, he can't go on forever, and when he doesn't, I mean, I'd like to see one of the young lads come through. They seem to be good. Let's have a look. But for the moment, Ginge for me.
For me, it's Czech Kiate. It's not even Ginger. I know you said Ginger Font, but for their choice, I'd rather see Kiate ahead of either of them two in centre back. But for one of them, 6.5 a dozen for me, really. It depends who would play, I think. If we're playing a team that put the ball in the air, it would be Ginge. But if it's a team that take it down on the deck, it'd be Font. I mean, the Liverpool one, they were both at fault. The very first goal, Font's half asleep and 5 yards behind everyone, but yet Ginger's leaving Daniel Sturridge and running 5 yards out of the defence and leaving that massive gap. And you just think, for two defenders who are as experienced as you can get in the Premier League, and they're both really naive sometimes, and it's a bit strange. It's a bit head scratcher how they can make those errors. Connor's asking, are you confident this transfer window this summer will be better than 12 months ago?
No, not confident at all. Hopeful, Connor. I'm hopeful, but far from confident. In fact, I would say that all the confidence has almost been sucked out of me, but my expectations are very, very low, very low. I've sat here talking about Ross Barkley and Sessegnon, Batshuayi, and I'm like a kid at Christmas getting excited. Crikey, my actual expectations of what will happen are incredibly low and would depress you very, very much.
John Ruddy. Who are we getting? Joe Hart, Begovic, John Ruddy, mate. Reminder, slap in the face. I'm quietly confident because I just think they've got to learn their lesson. If they think last summer was acceptable on any level, they might as well just leave because you need to be able to make your mistakes. I think they will admit their mistake. I think they will admit they've done stuff wrong, and I think that's why it gives me a little bit of confidence that thinks, well, they're not going to do that badly again, or they surely not. So, I mean, bear in mind the question was compared to last summer. How could you do worse than last summer? You just have to sell Lanzini.
They're two different things, though, Gio. I've got to say, as a man with 4 children, being sorry and learning your lesson are two very, very different things.
Sorry.
Sorry?
I didn't say they'd be sorry.
No, but you're right. No, but you said them thinking it didn't work, knowing something hasn't worked, and learning your lesson are two very different things. There's almost 3 kinds of people in life. There's people that learn from advice. There's people that have to learn from their own mistakes, and then there's people that just never bloody learn. And you just sort of hope that we're in the middle section. I do think, and this, I do think that I think a lot of the responsibility for purchasing the players needs to be taken away from the manager. I do think that. I don't think he's the best judge of a player in the world. Maybe a show for another day, but yeah, I think he needs help, and I've sort of been prodding at that when I've been saying a player for his system. I think almost Bilic has to be told, look, you want one of these guys for your system, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, anyway, anything else you want to add, Gonzo? We've ran out of questions, really. That's just the end of them.
No, I'm going to Wembley tomorrow. I'm going to Bellator. I'm going to the cage fighting, which I'm looking forward to.
Oh, you just remind me, actually, our preview is tomorrow night. Friday, 8:30, we'll be previewing.
Oh, excuse me, dogs.
Oh, goodness me. That's your time up, Alana. That's your dogs telling you to get out.
That's everything you're talking about the preview, mate. They didn't like it.
The preview will be on Friday, which will be previewing the last game of the season against Burnley. I'm not really looking forward to that one, to be honest. I've got a feeling I might have to predict a Burnley win. But anyway, hopefully you can join us for that one. But anyway, hit the subscribe button. There's the buttons here. One of those buttons as well. But it's goodbye from Gonzo.
Goodbye.
And thank you for putting up with my dodgy voice this evening. Thank you for watching. And we'll be back next week or in 2 weeks' time with another cup of tea. But we've got loads of stuff coming up. Despite it being summer, we've got plenty of videos coming out for you. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We've been Hammers Chat.